All right, hello everyone. We're going to look at another Web3 concept today. We're going to look at proof of stake, sometimes referred to as PoS, right? We're going to go over what this is as a definition. We're going to explain it in a little bit more detail. And then we're going to look at how we might use this if you're looking to improve your English a little bit when talking about these kind of things. We'll look at some example structures and sentences, how to do that. And we'll do one of my favorite things, which is the learning challenge. Here we go. Let's get it. So what we have here is we have a nice definition of proof of stake. And I've got some of the key terms that complete the definition covered up there, but here they are right here. One of these will fit under each one of these blocks. If you want to challenge yourself a little bit, go ahead and pause the video, see if you can guess what these are. If not, keep watching right along. We're going to go over it. Here we go. So proof of stake is part of a consensus mechanism used by blockchain networks to validate transactions and create new blocks. Validators lock up their coins as collateral, giving them the opportunity to validate transactions and earn rewards. If they act dishonestly, they risk losing their staked funds through a process called slashing. Okay, very good. If you got all those correct, very good. Let's go a little bit deeper. Let me explain a little bit more about what proof of stake is, right? So proof of stake is a simple resistant mechanism used by blockchain networks to validate transactions and create new blocks. Unlike proof of work, which requires miners to solve complex computational puzzles, PoS selects validators based on the amount of cryptocurrency they have committed to stake in the network. Validators lock up their coins as collateral, giving them the opportunity to validate transactions and earn rewards. If they act dishonestly, they risk losing their staked funds through a process called slashing. Okay? The key advantage of proof of stake is its energy efficiency. Since validators don't need to compete using computational power, PoS blockchains consume dramatically less electricity than POW networks. For example, Ethereum's transition from proof of work to proof of stake in 2022 reduced its energy consumption by approximately 99%. PoS also enables faster transaction finality and creates economic incentives for validators to act honestly, as their own capital is at risk. Proof of stake is like security deposit system. You can think of it like that, like a security deposit system. Instead of using computing power to secure the network, people lock up their own cryptocurrency as a guarantee of their good behavior as validators. The more you lock up, the more chances you get to validate transactions and earn rewards. If you cheat, you lose your deposit. Well, that is just a gist or overview there. And next, we're going to go over how all this exactly works a little bit to try to clear up some questions that you may have. So, how does PoS work? Well, on the screen here, we can see a general outline of how a successful validation process works there. But there's some other things that we need to consider, so I'm going to go over them now. Okay, so in a PoS system, participants who want to become validators must first stake a minimum amount of the network's native cryptocurrency. For example, Ethereum requires validators to stake 32 ETH. Once staked, these validators enter a pool from which the protocol pseudo-randomly selects one of them to propose the next block. The selection probability is typically weighted by the amount staked. This means that validators with more at stake have a higher chance of being chosen, though the exact mechanism varies by blockchain. Okay, that's very important. That was just an overview of how that part works. A lot of these system networks are have kind of a weighted formula that they use, and so the selection is not 100% randomly. It's more of a pseudo-random selection there. Okay, so when selected, the validator proposes a new block containing the pending transactions. Other validators then attest to the validity of the block. If the majority agrees the block is valid, it gets added to the blockchain. The proposing validator receives a reward in the form of transaction fees and newly minted coins. However, if a validator approves fraudulent transactions, goes offline repeatedly, or attempts to attack the network, they face penalties. And one of the most severe penalties they can face is what we mentioned earlier called slashing. And this is where a portion or all of their staked cryptocurrency is destroyed. So they lose their money. The money that they put up, the money that they stake, they're going to lose a large portion of that. The staking penalty system creates the staking and penalty system creates a strong economic incentive for honest behavior. Validators have what we call skin in the game. They've invested their own capital, which they'll lose if they act maliciously. This makes attacking the network extremely expensive, as bad actors would need to stake massive amounts of cryptocurrency, only to have it slashed when their dishonest behavior is detected. Now, just to give you a more of a simplified idea here. So think of a proof of stake like a bidding system where deposits determine your chances of being selected to do the work. The bigger your stake, the more likely you'll be chosen to validate the next batch of transactions. If you do the job correctly, you earn a reward. If you cheat or mess up, you lose some or all of your deposit. This system makes people play fair because they have their own money on the line. And of course, I mean, the minimum 32 ETH, you might be looking at that saying, well, that's a lot of money. But there are staking protocols out there that allow people to get involved with the actual staking to stake some of their own crypto there in a validator. So I'm not going to go into that right now. We're just going to focus on proof of stake. But there are opportunities. That's what blockchain creates. Blockchain technology creates opportunities for everyone to get involved. So if you do not have 32 ETH to put up, then there are staking protocols that will allow you to join in and participate and earn rewards along with the validator. But we'll go into that in another video. Here we go. So this is one of my favorite parts to go over. Just for some of us out there who, if your native language is not English and you want to look at the structure of how some of these sentences can be when you're talking about things like proof of stake, even if you already have very good vocabulary and maybe you feel like your sentence structure is not complete, this is a good time for you to tune in here. So using proof of stake in English, here are 3 common ways that you might use the term proof of stake in the context of blockchain or cryptocurrency. So one we're going to go over is comparing consensus mechanisms. We'll look at it at an example for that. Explaining staking requirements and discussing economic benefits. Here we go. Let's take a look at one example and the sentence structure of each of these types. So if you want to talk about comparing consensus mechanisms, right, you might use this structure here, blockchain or the name of the network uses proof of stake plus you add information distinguishing the proof of stake from other things or other choices there. For example, Ethereum uses proof of stake, which validates transactions through staked capital rather than computational power. So here we have the name of the blockchain or network, which is Ethereum, uses proof of stake, and then what's distinguish it? Well, The transactions are validated through staked capital rather than computational power. Yep. Let's look at another example here. So we can use it when we're explaining staking requirements. For the structure would be to participate in proof of stake, plus the requirement or the action that validators or participants would need to take. An example sentence might be, to participate in Ethereum's proof of stake consensus, you need to stake 32 ETH and run validator software. All right. And the last example we'll look at discussing economic benefits. The structure you might use is you introduce the proof of stake advantage at the beginning of your sentence, and then you add the comparison or the impact this advantage has. For example, proof of stake dramatically reduces energy consumption compared to proof of work, making it a more sustainable option for blockchain networks. Okay, if you have any questions about these, let me know. Or if you want to try to make your own sentences using these structures, go ahead and put them in the comments below. All right, it is time for the learning challenge. This is where we put our learning to the test, and this is where it gets locked into our minds because we're doing. The best way to learn is by doing, right? So we're going to have 3 gap fields. This is the first one. You got 3 choices here at the top of what the answer could be. And you got the statement about proof of stake here in the blank. If you want to, go ahead and pause the video and challenge yourself. Write what you think the answer is to in the comments below there. If not, here we go. Let's check it out. So, proof of stake, PoS, is a Sybil resistance mechanism used by blockchain networks to validate transactions and create new blocks. This is a little bit tricky here. If you looked at it too quickly, a little bit of English work there. And mining, of course, is in the proof of work systems, not proof of stake. Here we go. Let's go to the next one. PoS selects validators based on the amount of cryptocurrency they've committed to stake in the network. Okay, good. And number 3 here. As always, go ahead and pause the video if you want to challenge yourself before I go over the answer here. If not, here we go. Fraudulent validators face penalties such as slashing, where a portion or all of their staked cryptocurrency is destroyed. Very good job, everyone. Thank you for participating in that. All right. Thank you for your attention and your effort today. I always appreciate all your views. Keep going. Keep learning this stuff. Keep practicing it. And the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And the easier this stuff is going to become. Thank you once again for checking out the video. If you want to go a little bit deeper into this lesson and get the quiz and things like that, check out our website in the descriptions below there. Head over there and start learning and becoming more fluent in Web3. We'll see you next time.